All right, we are ready to add in posts. So right now, everything is working as expected. We've got all 4 AJAX methods hooked up and ready to go in our tester application. So now let's update this and add in the ability to select different methods. So we want to keep the ability to select the resource, but we also want the user to be able to select a method. So we'll give it an ID, and I'll call it method. And then in here, let's add in some options. So the first option value is going to be get. And we're going to make this one selected. And then the next option value, we've got post, of course. And this way, we give the user the option to select get or post. And typically with post, we want to send some data over as well. So let's take care of that. So we need some additional fields here. So input type text. And maybe this can be first or something like that. We'll just give it a name for first name or whatever we want to call it. And next, let's add in an input type text. And this one is going to be, let's give it a number. And of course, we know that with inputs, there's strings anyway. We don't need to have a submit button because we're just going to be grabbing all of the form data. So it actually doesn't matter how many fields you have here, how many input fields. We're going to serialize them and send them over, make use of them within our posts. So we've got our button there. And we need to make some updates to this make request function as well, because now we've got some more parameters there to look at. So we just added in 2 more parameters. So let's grab our method. So document and query selector. And this time, let's make sure we hash it because we gave it an ID. Value. And also we've got some form data. So we're going to do form. And we're going to use the JavaScript form data object. So form data. And we also need to specify where we're getting this data from. So the element that we're picking that up from. So let's do that as well. So I just gave it a quick name there. Let's do document query selector. And we only have the one form. We could actually give it an ID, maybe to be more specific. And update that over here as well. So my form. So we're grabbing that entire object and we're using the JavaScript form data to format that within a data format that we can send over. So next, what we want to do, so we've got all of this working, and we can send over the URL, and we've got some more parameters to send over as well. So we also have our method, and we also have our form information. And all of 3 of these parameters we're sending over in each one of the cases. And then now down within these functions, this is where we got to make use of them. So we've got to update some of our code. So let's take it one by one. So the first one that we're updating, let's update our JavaScript first. So we've got fetch, Axios, jQuery, and this is the one that we want to update. So within the JavaScript, just plain JavaScript object, we need to check to see if it's a post or if it's a get. And the only difference here is going to be the way that we send this method. So let's check to see if method is equal to get. And if it is equal to get, then we can just do the one that we used already. And we can also, let's also keep send in there as well. It doesn't actually matter if you were to add the data, to send the data in a GET request. It doesn't actually matter, but for this case, we'll just separate them out. And in this case, that means that it's a post. And for a post, we're going to format it as post. And then we've got our form information that we're going to send within there. So that's the only difference. So that's it. And we can also check to see status. So let's break this up, because the status when we post is going to be 201, so it's not going to be 200. So let's break this one up as well. So we know that if it's ready state 4, then we can do our check. And let's add an else if. And we're going to, this time, we'll check to see if the XHR status is 201. And if it is, then we can say added. And everything else can stay the same. And then lastly, let's do one more else. And over here is if we have an error. So this is if we made the connection, but we didn't have a status of 200 and we didn't have a status of 201, then we know that we threw an error. So this is going to be basically our fail, or we can just call it JavaScript error. So let's clean up the code and go out to the browser and let's try this out. So we've got one problem there already. So we've got too many brackets here. And let's try that again. There's a matter of too many of the brackets. So let's do JavaScript post. So there we go. So we posted, and this time notice that it says created. So if I switch that back to get, we don't have the created. So it is taking it as a post. And when I do post, we can see that we've got JavaScript added, we've got the 201, we've got created. So all of that is being sent through properly. So the other thing that we can do as well is we can hook up the other libraries and fetch in order to do posts as well. So that's coming up in the next lesson. So for now, we've got quite a few updates that we've made to our input form, as well as we've updated the JavaScript in order to respond to the get and posts. So go ahead and make those updates as well. And coming up, I'm going to show you even more cool things that you can do, and we're going to update the posts in the other methods as well. We're going to update the posts in the other AJAX formats as well. So that's coming up.